Hello, so this one is called Contact High. And I do mention this now and again in retreats, but I felt it's high time I gave this a proper treatment. So, my experience of having a contact high was being in a relationship for 6.5 years with the woman who inspired me to write the book which I wrote called Sex Magic the Guide. Now, what she'd like to do was to have an intense experience with the green medicine, and she'd like to do this every 2 to 3 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks go by, she would have one experience. She used a device called a bucket bong, which is quite fascinating. It's a way that you smoke the cannabis on its own through a large volume of water, which means it is possibly the mildest way you can smoke it. So she would have what to me would seem like a huge amount, and then we would both sit in silence. When communing with the silence, she was actually engaged in a form of meditation which is known as satta. And I have mentioned this, I've actually done a whole film about it years ago. Anyway, the point is this: she would sit there and commune, and when she was communing with the spirits, she would then be given messages, advice, instructions, and I used to take the job of being her scribe. She would speak and I would write down whatever she said. And sometimes it felt and seemed very personal to her, and it didn't really resonate with me at all. At other times I could tell she was tuning into some very deep messages and understanding which had universal significance. So I had an experience of doing that for a number of years, back in the 20th century. Seems like ages ago now. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this is something that anyone and everyone has the capability to do. And I've mentioned that on retreats that there are some people who come to retreats, they don't imbibe any plant medicines whatsoever. And what they're doing is they're choosing to work with a contact high. I never had the scientific explanation for this, but I have it now. I very recently made a film called Exosomes. So exosomes are considered by some to be viruses, but actually what these are is they are very, very small particles which are sentient in their own right, and they are how we communicate with plants and animals, how we communicate with each other, and the only thing you need to do is get close enough and it happens. It's rather interesting if you consider the concept of social distancing, preventing people from getting close enough to each other. So it's how we exchange information as life forms. All life forms produce these exosomes, and this is one of the methods that we have for communication. So the thing about the contact high is you don't take any of the medicine, you literally get into a state where you are communicating. You're communicating with each other, you're communicating with the plants. So when someone is at a retreat and they don't imbibe any of the medicines, they are literally communicating through the exosomes, and they are receiving and having all the benefits, all the plant medicines, without actually bothering to imbibe. And those of you who know me very well would be aware that on retreats there are some plant medicines, particular brown medicine, I imbibe such minuscule amounts it's really not going to have any significant effect, or I don't imbibe any at all. And the reason why I get such a profound effect from the retreats is because of this thing I'm talking about. It's called the contact high. So really this is the idea that we are ultimately all one, which is what the plant medicines are all about anyway. It's all about oneness and connection. So I'm so grateful to everyone for the last retreat and all their experiences, and I am still processing and I'm still integrating, and it's more than the week has gone by now, and I'm aware this is likely to continue for another week. So contact high, highly recommended. All the love.